Dan Stack, the CEO of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts, joins us here in the studio today to talk a little bit about the registration opening for the DAV 5K coming up later this fall. But before we get there, talk to us a little bit more about the diverse number of programs that are available through the Disabled American Veterans Department. And Dan, thanks as always for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, for having us. As you're one of our best partners, and we really appreciate your support, that's for sure. Well, DAV has a giant transportation program throughout the state, taking veterans to and from their VA medical centers. We also have a local veterans assistant program in which we have veterans that volunteer, DAV members that volunteer to assist other disabled veterans in their community. It could be raking leaves, helping them get groceries, or actually just sitting with them and spending time to help them get over the loneliness that they might be enduring. We also have our housing program, which is one of our biggest efforts right now.
That's the one I wanted to dive into a little bit, Dan. I mean, we're covering story after story about how housing costs in the United States, and certainly regionally here in New England too, are about the highest they've ever been when you factor in prices plus mortgages. Talk to me about your housing program. Specifically, I know you have some available in Central Mass and how they work with veterans.
We actually have basically 3 locations, which 112 rooms that we actually have, the veterans that we can handle. Probably our premier housing program happens to be the one at 3 Victory Lane in Gardner. That is a 22-bedroom condominium complex in which we are able to bring veterans that have been either homeless, on the verge of homelessness, or very low income, as you're mentioning, and can't afford to actually find a place that they can live in. This particular facility, we deal with these veterans that are in need, many of them, further education. So they could go to Mountain Wachusett College if they wanted to. We have different programs that deal with vocational rehabilitation, also putting them into trade school if they needed to, in order to get them the academia that they need to get back out into the workforce. We're very proud of that particular unit because everyone who has come in there, 100% of them who leave that particular facility end up with some form of permanent housing.
Wow.
And last year,
100% of them leave with, that's fantastic.
And that is the key to veterans housing, unfortunately, happens to be that your statistics can be kind of skewed a little bit because a lot of individuals leave one kind of facility and then they end up being reprogrammed into another facility, so they only get 2 years here, 2 years there. We got away from that. We said, no, we don't want any part of that particular program. If somebody is with us 5 years, to get them completely rehabilitated so they can get out into their own home, that's what we do.
You have 3 campuses that I'm aware of. There's the Victory Campus in Gardner, Massachusetts, the Hero House in Leominster, Massachusetts, and the Armistice House in Leominster. What are the eligibility requirements? If someone's in need of housing with a military background, what type of people and who's allowed into these types of facilities, and how do you qualify and how do you apply?
Basically, you can go right online to davma.org and go to our housing and click on that, and there's an application that they can fill out for it. Most everybody that is eligible is either of low, I would have to say low income, or disabled veterans. And here's the kicker. We have a lot of veterans that are 100% disabled that can't afford a home in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sure. I mean, yes, they may be getting close to $3,000 to $4,000 a month, depending on the degree of severity, but that alone would not sustain them in housing. So we have facilities that we would be able to help them get permanent housing doing with us.
I know that frequently navigating all sorts of stuff with the military after you're out can be incredibly complex, whether it's applying for disability benefits or all sorts of different programs that are available to veterans that might be tricky to apply. What sort of support, in addition to the housing, comes alongside that within the DAV?
Well, for example, one of the biggest things about housing is how did they get there? And many of them get there because they do not understand what benefits they might have coming from the VA.
Right.
So we have Department Service Officers and National Service Officers that navigate the veteran through the VA process in order to make sure that they get the proper health care they're supposed to be getting from the VA and the appropriate compensation for the disabilities that they basically incurred while they were on active duty. So our service program, our housing program isn't where you just stick somebody into a house.
Yeah.
You can do that. But if you do not address the reason why they ended up in that particular situation to begin with, and that happens to be, it could be mental health. We basically make sure that all of those that are with us, if they are receiving mental health, that they get to their appointments. We make sure they're transported. If they're living in our congregate care facility, we make sure that they're taking their medication appropriately. If in fact, it's one of those situations where they just never file for VA compensation, we make sure that they file, get to their appointments, see the doctors, and keep up with that so they maintain that VA compensation.
Dan, we're going to get to in a minute the one of the biggest fundraising, or maybe the biggest fundraising event that you do every year, which is the DAV 5K later this fall. Before we get there, I know there are plenty of opportunities for people to donate to the cause, to sign up for the race and raise money for the DAV. For those interested in physically helping out the DAV, for volunteer opportunities, what sort of stuff what sort of opportunities are there? What sort of programs do you offer for those that are either military, non-military, to volunteer and get involved with the DAV?
I'm glad you asked that particular question, Mike, because you do not have to be a veteran or a disabled veteran in order to volunteer with the Disabled American Veterans. And we have many, many different types of programs that we need volunteers for. As I mentioned earlier, the biggest one happens to be our transportation program. In that regard, we always are looking for those that may have a day or even a few hours a day where they'd be able to help utilizing one of our vehicles, drive a veteran to and from his home to the VA and back again. The other we have is what we call our local veteran assistance program. In that program, again, a veteran can go on to davma.org, look up volunteer opportunities, and see what's available in regards to helping out another veteran. And that could be easily, literally helping them go to the grocery store, buy their groceries. It could be just sitting with them and talking to them on a couple of daily basis to help with the loneliness of a veteran that's living alone. It could be actually making sure that the yard is kind of picked up. Or we have one guy that just takes the trash out for the individual once a week. He does that. And again, that alleviates something that the veterans. We also have programs for the DAV volunteers in the VA medical centers. We have a lot of volunteers that go to the VA, and what they do is they not only help transport veterans, but they may sit with them by the bedside. They read to them. They help them with their wheelchairs, getting from whatever bedside they have to the appointment that they have within the VA, whether it be for mental health counseling, checkups, any of those things that they may need for their physical well-being.
So last but certainly not least, I know that registration for the DAV 5K opened today?
Yes, it did.
It opens today. This event occurs every year. It's become a pretty big internal competition here within our own office to, try and beat your coworkers in the DAV 5K. But talk to us about the race. Talk to us about the sign-up process and what people can expect later this fall if they want to attend.
Well, first of all, we're hoping everybody that listens to this program, especially my cousin who always listens to it, Bob Shaughnessy, I hope he'll sign up this particular year for it. All you need to do is go to DAV 5K Boston and just register right there. Even if you want to register, we would hope that you would also look at building a team. That is the biggest thing. That's the Financial Exchange has a team.
Yep.
And with that team, you're very, very kind. More donations come in, and then that's what we would really appreciate. So you can build a team, singly register. You can actually go there, and if even if you're not a runner or a walker, but you just wanted to make a donation, you can make a donation. It's
an incredible event. There's food vendors. There's all sorts of the honor guard. What was the cannon start is pretty awesome.
Having that 105 go right off next to everybody, I think that all those who have never been in the military understand why most of us can't hear crap afterwards. So it's true.
Dan Stack, he's the CEO of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts, joins us today to talk about the kickoff of registration for the DAV 5K and the truly amazing programs they have to offer disabled American veterans in the New England area. Dan, thanks as always for joining us. Really appreciate it.
As always, we're very appreciative of the Financial Exchange and your group.